Welcome back to NoBiasHoops. Today we're talking about the Portland Trail Blazers and how they are building an extremely interesting roster. So yesterday they signed Damian Lillard to a 3-year, $43 million deal with a player option on the last year. This came out of nowhere. Honestly, I don't think anyone really thought he was going to return to Portland, but I don't know why we didn't really factor that in as a possibility, because Dame loved Portland. He did not want to leave. He had to leave, really. By that last year he was in Portland, they were not good anymore. He was losing time in his prime, and really going to Miami or going to Milwaukee seemed like a perfect scenario. Dame and Giannis should have been great together. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And once Dame tore his Achilles, the Bucks really said he's not going to probably come back nearly the same. It already didn't work. And I don't think the Bucks made the right decision by just waiving him. But the Bucks decided that, we need to move on from him. And even if it's very risky, we can go get Miles Turner right now and just capitalize on another year with Giannis, because the Bucks know that once Giannis leaves, they're going to be terrible for a long time. So why not capitalize right now? Again, I still don't think it was the right decision, but that's the decision they made. So Portland brings Dame back, and Dame loved Portland. And then after he got traded to Milwaukee, he talked about how he had a lot of mental health issues and stuff, and I'm sure it wasn't directly just getting traded to Milwaukee, but I think he just loved it so much in Portland, and he realized that my mental health is more important than money, and it's more important than even maybe winning for him. Because if he wanted to win a ring, he could have just gone and signed with the Thunder. They would have taken him on a minimum easily. He could have signed anywhere he wanted for cheap, but he decided, why not go back to Portland, just finish my career off there, and that player option on the third year, if he really still is playing great at that third year, it gives him all the power to go ring hunting or whatever he wants to do. So it's a win for Dame. Portland, it's like a very risk-free decision because they're not paying him that much. $43 million seems like a lot, but spread over 3 years is only about $18 a year, which definitely is a ton of money. But for a team like Portland, where really they don't have the best direction, they traded for Drew Holiday, which didn't like that trade too much. Anthony Simons is really good, but in that trade, they cut future cap space, and Drew Holiday is good. Sadly, Dame will be out for all of next season, but if he wasn't, Drew Holiday, Dame, that could be interesting. So getting Drew Holiday is not terrible in my opinion, and he's going to be a good vet in the locker room, and really maybe Portland is trying to win. They've just made some really interesting moves that are decent risks, but could be huge. They drafted Young Hansen, and he was supposed to probably go in the second round, but they took him, I believe, they traded back to 16, and they took him at 16, and that is huge. Young Hansen has looked pretty good in Summer League. Some people call him the Chinese Jokic, and if he has that type of, potential, he's tall, he's a playmaker, he can shoot a little bit. Really, Young Hansen could be really good, but at the same time, taking him at 16 is a very big risk. They drafted Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson hasn't been amazing, but he had a little bit of a bounce back year. They have Shaedon Sharpe. He's been injured a ton, but when he's not injured, Shaedon Sharpe looks really, really good. Klingon, he's slow, but he's pretty solid. He was a decent pick for them last year when there wasn't much available in last year's draft. And then they still have guys like Robert Williams and Matisse Thybulle, who are still on the roster as decent role players. They waived DeAndre Ayton. I liked that decision, honestly. I just don't see how Ayton has a future with Portland, and just getting rid of him now makes sense to me. and that was able to help them get Dame and then stay under the first apron. And saying that Portland was close to being a first apron team is insane, but it's okay. And then Portland has just made some interesting decisions, and I don't think it was part of the plan for them to trade Dame and then just get him back a few years later, but it really was a pretty much best case scenario, because they didn't get a ton for Dame, to be honest, but they got a good package back from Milwaukee for Dame, because they were able to get Jrue Holiday and then trade Jrue Holiday to Boston. So in reality, what they did is they traded Dame, got a bunch of assets, got some higher draft picks, and then they just get him back. And he's going to be worse than he was. You don't tear your Achilles at like 32 or whatever he is and come back great. But luckily, Dame doesn't totally rely on his athleticism. He's a great shooter. And I think they're going to be able to build a solid roster around Dame. Maybe it'll make Jrue Holiday want to stick around for one more season, because he knows he can play with Dame and build a storybook season. Because if the Blazers, this would be like a miracle. But like, let's say the Blazers rookies are doing really well. They make a trade for like a solid all-star, and then Dame, Jrue Holiday, this solid all-star, and their rookies go to the NBA Finals. Like, that is best case scenario, to be honest. And it probably won't happen. Like, what are the odds Dame comes back even 70%? And Jrue Holiday, he's getting really old. He was not himself last season. They're rookies. Some have shown potential, some have not. And so that's like a pipe dream. But if that were to happen, do you know how insane that would be? That would be one of the most insane seasons of all time for a team. And for a Portland team that's currently like up for sale, they don't have the best arena. Adam Silver just said they're going to need an arena. He would prefer the team to stay in Portland. But like, there's all this noise that like maybe Portland moves, maybe, and there's just like a ton of urgency for the team to win right now. And getting Dame back is huge. They've made a ton of interesting decisions, like I've said many times. And I don't know, I just like what Portland's doing. Let me know what you think, and see you next time on No Bias Hoops.